Hello, let's do an example from section 4.9. So it's asking us to find f given the following. So given f double prime of x equals 1 minus 6x plus 48x squared, and also given these conditions, f of 0 equals 1 and f prime of 0 equals 2. So we want to first begin by taking the antiderivative of both sides. So we are taking the antiderivative of both sides of this equation of f double prime of x with respect to x. And that's going to be f prime of x plus some constant, right? So equals the antiderivative 1 minus 6x plus 48x squared with respect to x. And again, this is going to generate for us some constant. I guess we could call it c. And in order for us to take the antiderivative, what we want to do is recall the following: that the antiderivative of nx to the m with respect to x is equal to n over m plus 1 x to the m plus 1 plus, of course, some constant c. So f prime of x then is going to be equal to, and what I want to do though first is to make this look more familiar to you and essentially rewrite the terms of this guy in order of descending powers of x, right? Just so it looks more familiar. So 48x squared minus 6x plus 1. That's all I'm doing is just rewriting this guy. So for the first term, this 48x squared, so in this case, n is 48 and m is 2. So we're going to have the antiderivative of the first term is going to be 48 over 2 plus 1, which is 3, and then x to the 2 plus 1, x cubed. And then the same thing for the second term. So in this case, n is 6, and m is actually going to be 1. So then we have 6 halves x, and then 1 plus 1 is 2, and then plus x. That 1 just turns into an x, and then of course we're also going to generate some constant c, right? So now that we have f prime of x, we can actually solve for c because we are given this condition here that f prime of 0 is equal to 2. So essentially what this is telling us to do is to let all of our x's be 0 and set everything equal to 2, right? And then we can do this to solve for c. So f prime of 0 is going to be equal to, now 48 divided by 3 is 16. So we're going to get a 16 times 0 cubed, because we're letting all of our x's be 0. That's what that's telling us to do. Minus 6 over 2 is 3, x squared, so 0 squared, plus 0 plus c, right? And all of that, of course, is going to be equal to 2. So we're setting all of this equal to 2, right? So that's telling us that c is equal to 2 for this case. So now that we know that c is equal to 2, altogether we have that f prime of x is equal to 16x cubed. Looking at this guy, 16x cubed minus 3x squared plus x, and now instead of c we have plus 2, right? And that is f prime of x. So now to find f of x, we do the same thing again. We take the antiderivative of both sides of this equation, right? So then we have antiderivative of f prime of x with respect to x is going to be f of x plus some constant. So, and that's going to be antiderivative of 16x cubed minus 3x squared plus x plus 2 with respect to x. Okay, so we do the same thing again. We use our formula, the antiderivative of n x to the m with respect to x, where n and m are constants, is going to be equal to n over m plus 1 x to the m plus 1, right? So in this case, we have, for the first term, 16x cubed, that n is equal to 16, and m is 3, so that means that f of x is going to be 16 over 3 plus 1, which is 4x to the 4th, minus 3 over, 3 is n, over m plus 1, which is going to be 3x cubed plus 1/2 x squared plus 2x, and then of course this is going to generate a new constant. We'll just call it d. Okay, so since we are given now another condition, f of 0 is equal to 1, right? Again, it's telling us to replace all the x's in our function f of x with 0 and then set everything equal to 1, and then we can solve for d. So x's are going to be equal to 0, everything's going to be set equal to 1. So we have f of x equals 1, which is 16 over 4 is 4. So x to the 4th, right? We're letting all of our, sorry, that's f of 0. We're letting all of our x's be 0, so f of minus, so 3 over 3 is 1, and then 0 cubed plus 1/2, 0 squared plus 2 times 0 plus d, right? So all of these terms right here are just going to be 0, so then that tells us that d is going to be equal to 1. So altogether, right, when we plug this into here, right, so we have that f of x is equal to 16 over 4 is 4, x to the 4th minus x cubed plus 1/2 x squared plus 2x, and then instead of d, we found that d is equal to 1, so plus 1. And that is going to be our answer.